Let's say Nakumincha misappropriated the money for health. Somebody died. So this person who died because you misappropriated our fund, the life of that person doesn't matter. We should notice that if you misappropriate our money and it causes harm to us as Kenyans, we hang you in public, pale archives, tuweke hapo kitu ya kuhang watu.
Okay, based on those strong comments, Julian, you seem to have some reactions to it. What do you think about that? Hello, my name is Raf Wangutusi and welcome to Newsweek. It's been another exciting week with a lot happening, from Monday with doctors striking and camping at MOH to a call for dialogue by the president and the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and lastly yesterday when the cabinet was finally dissolved by the president. Now with me is a panel. We will be discussing these events and I'd like to introduce them. On my exact right is Brian Obra. He is a filmmaker and creative director, and next to him is Julian Rose, and she is a content creator and entrepreneur. And next to her is Dr. Peter. Dr. Peter is a med lab doctor. So we'll be having this conversation together to understand the events of the week. Starting with you, Obra, there's a video that you made and it rose a great and big conversation on the internet. If you can just have a clip so that we can continue from there, let's just have a look.
Niko na wagonjwa watu wa gunshots karibu 10 na askari wenzenu.
Ndio tutaua wengine wengi, enda chukua wengine. Unatoka.
Asi utaua wengine wengi.
Okoa ile amepika.
Na sio ndio nafanywa wananirushia tia gas na madaktari, nitawatibu wote na ni wenzenu. Aje. Na nilipuli hadi anesthesia, ikilipukia watu nitafanya nini? Na mnatibiwa pia nyinyi. Na sibagui. Sad, it's bad.
Now, in relation to that video, as you were taking it, what was going through your mind after you heard that and as you witnessed it?
Okay, thank you for having me and having us. To be honest, and I think this is something anyone covering a protest or a high intensity, high energy situation, this is something most of them will tell you. With the adrenaline and just how much you're focusing on peripherals, on your safety and stuff like that, a lot of this stuff never hits you with the intensity that it should at that point, because you're on high energy, you're on high adrenaline, right? So, and I think that was the same for me. Yes, it did trigger something in my mind, but until I sat after the protest and you start now going over the footage and seeing what you collected and stuff like that, that's when you start to realize, oh wait, did this person actually say this, right? You do hear it, you do internalize it, but not with the intensity until you're out of that situation. Yeah, so at that point, I don't think my mind was as blown as it was when I watched it back. Yeah.
Now, Dr. Peter, how does that video make you feel as a medical practitioner? How does it make you feel?
First of all, thank you for having us. I had a similar occurrence. The whole thing of as a medic, when we are out there, our goal was to help the protesters, but the police is like the police were against us. It's like we were there illegally, but all we wanted to help, and actually we were not only helping the protesters, we were also helping the police themselves. You remember the other guy who was blown, his hands were blown out. It is the medics who actually came to help him. So seeing such things happen, and the police also saying, that guy, you could hear that lady saying, they want to kill us even more. I think it's just sad. It's just sad that as a country, even as the police, they know things can go bad, not allowing the medics to help the protesters. It's just sad. Yeah.
Now, Julian, there's a video that you also created that rose a conversation, especially on TikTok. I think we can have a look at that and just to get some context.
and you cannot easily manipulate us. We know very clearly that you are in that position because you were put there by a few people and they had their own interest at heart. Now that you are there, you are serving their interests at our expense. We agreed to let it go, how you got to that position. Our problem is you're still serving the interests of your masters.
Nice. So, Julian, based on the events that took place yesterday, first, going back to you making that video, what are you feeling to make you make that video at that time?
Thank you for having us. In that moment, I felt like as a Kenyan citizen, I was not being listened to. I wasn't being listened to by my member of parliament. I wasn't being listened to by my president, because young people were on the streets asking for certain actions to be taken, which is as per their right. What were we faced with? A lot of harm in form of being shot at. We were being turned down left, right, and center. We could have solved this issue from the word go by just being listened to. In that moment, I didn't feel listened to as a Kenyan citizen. Yes.
Now, based on what happened yesterday with cabinet being dissolved, do you feel like the government is now listening?
Let's first of all thank the president for actually taking action in that route, because this is something we asked for the word go. So the fact that at least one thing is accomplished, we have to be grateful for that aspect. My concern is it didn't have to get to this point for that action to take place. You've known your cabinet secretaries. There are those with cases in the public court, corruption cases. It doesn't have to take the local mwananchi to actually call it out. Moving forward, can we as a country ensure if you are put in the public, in a public role to serve the public, you are actually held accountable? So that starts from your integrity, your character as a person, and then we come down to your ability to actually perform. So why did we have cabinet secretaries who are not qualified to be in that position? Can we get to a point where as a country, if someone is going to be given a public office, can they be competent enough to actually deliver? That is the bare minimum for every Kenyan who is looking for a job. Why can't we hold our leaders to the same standard? Yes.
Now, getting to you, Ebru, based on you witnessing the events at the protests and recording them, what change did you expect to come out of it? Did you expect any change?
First of all, being on the street, that's changed already, right? And especially considering who was on the street, that's changed. A few years back, what would have happened would have been, we would have been behind our keyboards and ranting and venting, and that's where it ends, right? So the fact that this is a generation that's already on the streets, that's enough change, right? So what my expectation of all of this would be first, a culture and mindset change, which I think is going to be proven by the next decision that His Excellency takes, right? So thing is, we need to get to a place where we stop politicizing CS seats, because that is it's an open secret. This is like Thanksgiving for what how much numbers you brought, how much capital you brought. It's an open secret, right? So when we get to a place where we stop politicizing CS seats and people are there on merit, just like you said, people being there on merit, on professional merit, I think that would be my greatest expectation right now. That would be a step towards the right direction. We are not there. I think we are far off, but it would be a step towards the right direction.
Nice. Yeah. Now, talking about professionalism, Peter, what do you think, based on CS Nakumicha's performance as a doctor, how has your experience been?
First of all, I'm very disappointed. She doesn't deserve that position. Me, I'm going to say it bold. She doesn't deserve that position. Like he's saying, I think when we put people in power, the president said, when he was asked about Mithika Nturi, he said, it's not about, you see, like he was told, let's use the example of Murkomen. He said, he was told, Murkomen is not an engineer for roads. Why do you give him this position? But he said, it is about leadership roles. But let me ask you something. Now that I'm a doctor and this guy, I understand he's into the field of what can I call it?
Film.
Film. Now, Can you tell me that he can come and run my field like as a medical lab? When we give, I would say like this, if we are giving a CS for health, let's select a doctor, someone with PhD, someone who understands things better. And you shouldn't have incompetent issues. So we give people according, we vet them. And as I would say, before the president can actually, before he floats this name of who he wants to select next time, let us have a say on who is going to be put in these positions. We first of all say, sisi ni sisi wananchi, we have the first, we are watu wanakuja kutuangalia sisi. So we vet them first before even they can be vetted by the parliament, because we know people in the parliament, they have their interests are based on the president. So they don't have our own interest. Even if you look on Twitter right now, the CS who have been fired, they are thanking the president, other than thanking us, the people. They should thank us for the people, because if it was not for us, who else would they serve? So I would urge going forward, mtu apewe kitu yenye amesomea. Yeah, what you really understand. If it is not like that, I think things are going to be very bad as we go forward.
And just to add something to that, right? And I think it's common sense, which is not too common, right? It's very easy. Same thing you're saying. If you're looking to bring in someone to the CS seat of, let's say, health, public health, right? Have a room where the players inside are people from private sector, public sector, people on the actual ground. They know what to ask, they know what to look out for, right? If you're bringing in someone, if you're vetting someone for the seat of sports, right? Have sportsmen, have committees that have been running sports, have people that have been on the ground. They would know what they're vetting. They would know what to look out for, because they are the ones this ministry, this CS seat is supposed to serve, right? I don't understand why you want to have 4 clergymen and 5 other politicians vetting someone to be in the field of youth and sports, right? It just doesn't make sense. The compartment of the committee that's supposed to be vetting people, that's where it's supposed to start, finding the right people for the vetting committees.
Nice. Yeah. It's interesting that you've brought the point of vetting and for the right positions. Now, Peter, there's a video you mentioned about us having leaders, and I'd like Julian's opinion on this. So if we can just play that video, just to get some context also on that.
How do we effect change? We put out proposals. Who present these proposals to relevant authorities? Our leaders, all right? So, if those proposals are not taken care of, now we go to the streets and we go to the social media, because these things amount to pressure. When the pressure increases, change is effected, right?
Nice. Now, that was quite engaging. Now, based on the whole point, what do you think about vetting and leadership for us, especially as the young people?
It's a step that we can't ignore as the young people. I feel like for the longest time, this country has been led by a group of people who are not very transparent with what they actually bring to the table. So, for example, in this entire duration, when we've been having this issue in terms when asking for these changes to occur, if you look at how the president has processed our demands, it shows you where the gap actually is. Because here's the thing, the Gen Z might have been leaderless, but we didn't lack leadership. Let's be clear. Because we might not have one single leader, but how we arranged ourselves, how we organized ourselves, from the protests to the sharing of information, those education going online like crazy. Every single chapter was being unopened, was being dialogued. So when you look at how Gen Z went through these protests, they're very organized. So there's leadership in it. Even on, I think it was a particular day where people raised almost 25 million just for those who were injured in one day. That shows you how much organization they had compared to the government. The reason up to early this week, the reason why the government was even considering the opposition and thinking that had a bit of an impact is because for the longest time, the government still assumes they're in a political role. So they got to this position and they're still politicking. From the differences they have internally to how they execute issues. Their forgotten politics ended when they got to that office. It was supposed to be, now you're running a business entity. I'm an entrepreneur. I was talking about the president being a brand. The reason why he's failed is because he's not strategist for his brand. He's not marketing himself to Kenyans because of the action he's taking, the action points he's taking. So when you look at the feedback my friend is giving here, we need people in office who've been vetted, people who are competent, and people who actually have a business mind. Because when you give you the country, we expect returns. Yeah.
Now, Peter, based on your video, first of all, and you thinking that we should, as the Gen Z, have leaders, and also calling for dialogue, are those still your thoughts? Because change came yesterday, cabinet was dissolved, and yet there are no leaders who have been approached. So are those still your thoughts?
No, that time I thought like Gen Z's having leaders was a good thing. But even without the leaders, the movement is still there, stronger than ever. And I was, you know, when you post a video, the comments come about. I read some few comments where people were saying, if we bring up leaders, even these other leaders, it's not that they were bad leaders before. They were good leaders. They entered to the system corrupted their mind, they became bad leaders. So the same way, if we were, as Gen Z, if we fronted some leaders, these people are going to go to this system. The system is going to corrupt their mind, and they're going to join the system. You see, the system, Uhuru Kenyatta was there, there was a time they were saying, kuna watu wako kwa system. They're going to join that system, and the movement might fail. So as of now, no Gen Z leader should be fronted. Let us continue putting pressure. We have seen what pressure has done. And let us not congratulate the president for dissolving the CSs. How can I congratulate you for being a father? It is your duty to be a father. So why should I congratulate you? It's not like he has done a good thing. It's like when you want a child to stop disturbing you, you give them something so that they can just walk away and stop disturbing you. That's what the president has done. But there are big issues to be handled in this country. The biggest of all is corruption. You cannot be moving. You see, like now he has been here in the country. He hasn't been going out there borrowing money. But even if he goes out there and borrows the money, when he comes back to this country, what does the money, we can't see the money doing anything tangible. Other than telling us out here there's some ICT hub somewhere, we don't see the money borrowed and we cannot see what the money is doing. So I think I have a very good point to the CSCs who are fired. They should go to those ICT hubs and look for jobs. Yes.
Okay. Ebru, what do you think?
Okay, first I think the most appropriate name we should be using is representatives, not leaders. What the movement might require at some point won't be leaders. I don't think it ever needs leaders. Like she said, leadership is there, regardless whether there's leaders or not. What will be at play at some point will be representatives, and that was supposed to be the entire role of members of parliament. If you ask me, members of parliament represent their constituents. So the only reason why you're seated at that table is because you must have listened to your constituents, and that's what you come in to represent in the decision making, right? So, and these representatives, how I would see the formulation of a group like this has to be solely, if we're asking for merit from the government, we need to practice merit ourselves, right? So when we talk representatives, we're not talking about 2-3 people at the helm who represent an entire generation of protesters. No, it's about breaking it down further. What sector are you from, right? So you're not representative. You're not representing an entire movement of Gen Zs. You're representing actual tangible points that affects you directly, and because you've sat with people in the same sector, with people in the same region, the same block, so what you're doing is representing. So I don't see us getting to a place where we will say this movement is going to fail without leaders. I am not Gen Z. I am millennial. Yes, yeah. And it's quite encouraging to see a movement like that. But the biggest failure, if you ask me my opinion, the biggest failure will begin from wanting to handpick someone and say, this is our leader, whatever they say goes.
Yeah. Now, based on this conversation of leadership or even representatives, going back to the first video that we've watched, the police being the key players in the pain experienced by most protesters, the deaths witnessed. Now, what can be done about that? Because if we're talking about leaders, first of all, what should be the next step? Because we've seen, yes, the cabinet has gone. What do you think should be the next step, especially when it comes to holding such people responsible? Because the authority that's supposed to be helping out doesn't seem to be doing much. So what do you think?
For the first time, and this will stem from personal experience, right? For the first time, I'll say I'll want to humanize the cops just a bit. I know that's going to be against the tangent, but I'll want to humanize cops a little bit. When I was inside the protest, I remember when now things were starting to, because it was going up, going down, right? At some point when things were a bit calmer, I remember the cop next to me telling me he really wants this thing to end. He's never seen, first of all, anything like this in terms of the magnitude. He's never seen people that resemble his own kids on the front line. So he is there because of the uniform he's wearing, because of the group he represents, the authority he represents. But as a human being, he does not see why this is a good thing, right? So, which begs the question, is there a gap between the policeman as a human being and the policies and the directives that they stand for, right? So if we can bridge that gap, and one, I think escalate their logic to a point where they have a, because I believe they do. They have a right to stand and say, no, this is an order from above, but it doesn't fit my own values and virtues, right? We need to empower them to get to a point where they understand whatever directive you take upon yourself, it is also going to be a decision that you made, and bridging that gap, rehumanizing them again. Because I think whether it's from the academies that they are taken to, whether it's Kiganja where they tell you have to be like this and like this. So let's break it down from a point of that note, in my opinion.
Nice. Now, Julian, in your video, there's a statement you made: we are not our parents. And going back to what Obra said, there should be us, or we should humanize such people. Like, we should humanize the police, and that way maybe change will be witnessed. Being that we are not our parents, using the police as an example, do you think there'll be change witnessed, or is this a system that will continue being this way?
I think we're already witnessing change. A big chunk of the cops, if I would say, I'm not supporting them, but if you look at the numbers, a big chunk of the cops actually held back. There might have been a few that were introduced to cause the harm that happened, but there were even Gen Z cops who are actually backing up the people. Because when you look at how organized we are, it means there's also information that was also coming from every other avenue. It means we were backed up by even these people that we think are the enemy. So at this juncture, I think the enemy actually lies within our policies, like he said, and with the people that execute those policies. So if we can fix the country to a point whereby we are following the Constitution to the letter, so if the Constitution allows people to picket and actually demonstrate, can we see them being protected? And if harm comes to any of those people, can we actually hold the person that gave the instructions responsible? So if we go with the form of accountability, I believe we'll be able to curb issues like death that recently happened.
Yeah. Now, Peter, based on Julian's point of policies and accountability, are you happy with Nahumicha's dismissal, or what other type of accountability would you expect from her or from the ministry now that that decision has happened?
Wow, now that these guys have been fired, I hear there's something called severances that they are supposed to be paid after they have been fired. My friend, me Tuesday, I'm coming out to say nobody should go home. Let me say something. So when you're working at this station right now and you're fired because of misconduct, are you paid? See, you did some misconduct, you are let go. Why should we pay people who stole our money? So first of all, I think they shouldn't be paid, and also they should be investigated. Before anyone else comes to become a CS for health, they should purely investigate. You see the billions they say the NHF has lost. They should investigate further. If you are the boss of a certain organization and things go wrong, you don't put your people under the bus, you become responsible. So Nakumicha, we're not done with you. If we come to that Ministry of Health and find out that you stole some money, you helped some money get lost, such that our own patient didn't get the best health they should have gotten, we will come for you. And I'm suggesting, if any member of these CSEs is found corrupt, my friend, we sell anything that you have, we gain our money. And on top of that, we should formulate a law to hang these people to death, like in China. Because if you know the end product of this corruption, I'm going to be hanged to death, you're not going to steal. And I know some people called humanitarians, I don't know how they are called, these people who deal with humanitarian issues are going to come and say that hanging people is not an effective move. But I'm saying, let's say Nakumicha misappropriated the money for health. Somebody died. So this person who died because you misappropriated our fund, the life of that person doesn't matter. We should put notice that if you misappropriate our money and it causes harm to us as Kenyans, kukuweka jela is not an effective, because if you go to jela right now and you have some good manners, see, they let you go. But you caused harm to somebody. We should kill you for stealing our money. It is our hard-earned money. We hang you in public. Pale archives. Tuweke hapo kitu ya kuhang watu.
Okay. Based on those strong comments, Julian, you seem to have some reactions to it. What do you think about that?
I think he's right in the essence that if they can feel the pain of the common mananchi of losing out on those funds, I believe we can start from there. For the longest time, there hasn't been any serious form of punishment for people that deal with this, are caught in corruption. As a matter of fact, there are those who are just told, no, just pack and go home. It's almost like you're even being sent with a package back home. We can't continue like that. So I feel like we need to introduce measures, really strict measures that causes them pain on the other end. So if you come and mess with our money, we catch you at some point.
Yeah.
Yes.
And before that, you see, my senator for Nyandarua County said something I found very awkward, that a certain governor stole some money and he returned some money and then he was let go. EACC just told him, umerudisha pesa kadhaa, we let you go. How on earth? How on earth? Let's say that money was supposed to build a cancer center somewhere. That cancer center was not built. Somebody died because of cancer. So, what is that? A guy should be punished. Sell everything that he owns. If he has children who are going to school, put those children in public school. You know, public school is free education. Put his children in public school. Wasome huko, jamaa hanyiwe tuonane binguni. Yeah.
Brian, what do you think can be the solution? Are you still for that?
I mean, he's raised very important points, right? And especially on the angle of auditing, pre-audit, right? Because something that this government really heavily padded on was saying that the previous government stole. When we came in, there was nothing in the kitty, right? But they still have money to flash watches and shoes and belts. You get so. I think we need to set a precedent where, with this incoming lot of CSs, there needs to be an audit done before anyone steps into office. I believe these audits are done, yes, but what we need to set up a precedent for is now publicizing these audits. Let it be common knowledge, let it be in the public domain that this is where these CS came in, so that everything you do from this point, we know at what point you're working from. Where, because they kept saying we don't have money for this because the previous government stole, but we have no way of proving whether this is wrong or right? So yeah, that thing about auditing and making these audits public, I think they need to start from this transition at this point, so that anytime you're coming in, we know what you're getting in your office, we know what's missing, we know what's needed, and as well, by the time you leave, apart from accounting, now we know what in what standard to hold whoever now takes up the same seat. So nice. Yeah.
Now, as a Kenyan, what do you expect to see to make you feel listened to, appreciated, and understood by this government?
You see, my problem with this, my problem with the regime in question is trustworthiness, right? This entire fight with the finance bill, if we are talking about a government in a country where we are seeing where all this money is going, if I can walk into Mata Hospital, Nairobi Hospital, and not pay a shilling and get the full breadth of treatment. If I can go to, if I can take my kids to Brook House without paying a shilling, you get. I have money going out from my paycheck. I'm taking home 20% of my money, but at the same time, I'm not spending on basic amenities, right? That means I am getting my value worth of the money that's being deducted, right? So to me right now, I don't think there's anything that's going to be said that's going to put me at ease. Because again, do I trust you enough to believe? You might have the most flowery and rosy of policies, you might have even the best of intentions, right? But you have placed yourself in a point where we only know you as a flying, lying witch doctor, right? So it's about trust that has been lost. So, and the only way to beat that, don't tell me what you're planning on doing. I just need a bit of evidence that this is what I am doing right now.
Yeah.
So it's actions for now. I think we've done words for the last 3 years now,
Yeah,
right?
2 years.
2 years, for the last 2 years. And it hasn't worked. So yeah, we need
Actions.
something different, yeah.
Now for you, Julian, as an entrepreneur and also as a Kenyan, what type of change do you expect to see to feel at ease?
Okay, first, I have no doubt that you're going to fix this government, in the essence that they have no choice but to follow the pathway that we decide for them. So this means a path of accountability and a path of competence. That they have really no option when it comes to that. Because at this juncture, Kenyans will ensure that they're scrutinizing almost every single thing that is done by the government. So money came in, where has that money gone to? You've been appointed to that role, how are you delivering on that role? You're an MP, why are you, like the ones who voted yes? I have a very big problem with those member of parliaments. Because you are my member of parliament. And the general consensus around this constitution says that we are not for the finance bill. Then you went ahead and voted yes. And when the president had us and pulled out the finance bill, you are now clapping. Who exactly has employed you? So governance has to take the right path in this country. This is just the beginning. But one thing that we also want to see as the business community, I run a business, and it's something I've done as early as my 20s. I've employed almost 20-something people right now, right? My thinking is different in the essence that we need to create the right environment for young people. So as a government, what are you doing to actually facilitate our dreams and goals? Because reality is there is not enough employment currently ongoing. So there's only so much people you can absorb in the economy. So how about you create the right environment? This means there's cash flow. You first of all ensure there's no corruption going on. You create policies that are friendly to business people. You ensure the young person can empower themselves, because we've moved into a very modern century, and right now with the digital space, with AI, there's so much job opportunities. It means the young person can actually empower themselves. They can even create employment, but you need to give them a conducive environment to do that. So we are asking for very little. Just do your job, be accountable, then give us the right environment to be able to empower ourselves. You can't say that exporting young people out of the country is actually a solution.
True.
What kind of jobs are they going to do outside there? Why can't they empower themselves in their motherland? So we are asking for justice in all forms, including economically.
Nice. Now for you, Dr. Peter.
Yes.
As a medical practitioner, and simply just as a Kenyan, what type of changes do you expect to feel at ease?
I expect a lot of changes. People think we just expect change from the president. There are people who are called EACC ban. EACC are supposed to investigate every institution of government. Those guys is like they are toward something behind the back and they let the governors go. You know, people think it's just the national government that has a problem. You go down to counties, my friend, see what Matangi was doing the other day. He was exposed yesterday by some investors of Tatu City. I think I am expecting a lot from county government, people come at ECC, and also there's something called Mother Koome. I don't know what policies he's formulating to make sure that corrupt leaders stop being corrupt. You cannot just say, I'm the president of Supreme Court and you're doing nothing. There's somebody also called DCI. DCI is supposed to investigate. You were asking how can the police and the people be together, of course. DCI have a policy where they say, fichuka kwa DCI, where you go report. How can I report a crime somewhere, and you people out here, when I'm protesting for good governance, you came and beat me up.
Yeah, yeah.
So all levels of government, I'm expecting change. And into my Ministry of Health, before, when you paying NHIF, public servant were paying 1,700. That was their pay. Yeah. That 1,700 used to cater for everything. Wakiingia hospital tu hivi usikia huyo mtu ni public servant, my friend. From lab works to scans to everything, they get and they go home. Yeah. So in this shift that is coming about right now, I need to see a lot of this shift doing some work to our people. Yeah. I still expect a lot of change, and let us not congratulate this. I should call them watumishi now. From waheshimiwa to watumishi. I want to see them doing a lot. Yeah. Yes.
Nice. Now, those are very strong sentiments from the panel today. Thank you once more for joining me. This has been Newsweek, and I have been joined once more by Dr. Peter Ngumba, Julian Rose, and Brian Obra, who have been sharing their sentiments on this. My name is Ralph Wangutusi, and this is Newsweek. See you next time.